Hello and welcome to a rainy day here in Connecticut. There are 3 Hyundai IONIQ 5s here for your viewing. And we've done this with ID4, we've done this with a few other cars. What I wanted to do was take you on a tour of the Hyundai IONIQ SE, the standard car. Then the SEL, and talk about what features it comes with and upgrades. Instantly you can already see this wonderful little light signature up on the bumper. And then we're gonna go through the limited. So a little trim comparison of the IONIQ 5 lineup here. Just so you know, these are all the 77.4 kilowatt hour battery packs with all-wheel drive, and each trim you can purchase. So let's get into it. Guys, we got to talk pricing before we continue. It was soaking wet outside and I couldn't remember many of the numbers because honestly I hadn't looked before I shot this video. It was a very impromptu trip, and a big thanks to the guys who brought out the other IONIQ 5s for us to film. So before we get started, it's important that you understand the pricing differences of each of these models. And I'm going to focus on the all-wheel drive big battery trim. There is a standard car with a small battery, I believe 50-ish kilowatt hour, 55 kilowatt hour pack. And that's only in the base trim rear wheel drive, and I don't believe any have come to the US yet, not that I've seen at least. So we're really talking about the 77-ish kilowatt hour battery pack, and that's going to be the main battery pack for this car. All-wheel drive costs $3,500 for each trim, regardless of the trim level. So it's $3,500 for all-wheel drive. Not only do you get the functionality of all-wheel drive, but you get a whole additional motor and more power, although there does seem to be a pretty big range cut according to the EPA. We'll be doing some digging into that, of course, soon here. So the standard car, the SE that we'll be looking at, is $47,150 entry-level price. This excludes destination or freight fee for each of the cars. Then you got to step up. It's a couple grand, about $2,500, actually a little bit less than that, to go for the SEL. And that's when we start looking at $49,400 for that trim. And then there's a huge jump up to the limited. The limited gives you so many things. I'll show you in the video, of course, but that brings you all the way to $54,500. So it's a $5,000 jump to get the limited, which is a serious amount of money, but you do get a serious amount of kit. Either way, as you'll see in the video, I think each trim is packaged pretty well. There's only one glaring, blatant error to me, and that's not offering the sunroof on the middle spec trim. I wish they would have added another $1,000 onto that trim or something and given us a glass roof, because I think it transforms the car, and it's probably the biggest leading factor as to why I would recommend getting a limited trim. Anyway, those are your prices: $47,000, $49,000, and $54,000. Yeah, big spec differences, but here we have them all in one place, and I can't wait to show you around the cars. Hey Will, this is your IONIQ 5 SE.
Hey, yeah, so I picked up my car about a week ago from New York. I picked it up in New York just because a lot of the dealers here are charging way over MSRP. This specific dealer, Hyundai 112, was not charging anything over MSRP.
Oh, nice.
So far, I love it. It is definitely different from my Tesla Model 3, but it's still a great car. Definitely comparable to the Model Y, but much cheaper than the Model Y.
So this is the standard car, but
standard
with big battery all-wheel drive.
Correct. Yep. It's the SE. The only upgrade I got was the all-wheel drive upgrade. Other than that, it's base level trim. Nothing extra.
Forgive some of the rain, it's cold, we're bearing the elements. So can you talk about what comes included in the standard car? Because I'm already noticing LED headlights, they look pretty nice. Is it a different LED headlight than the other cars?
I believe so. I believe they call these reflector headlights versus
Correct.
The other ones are projector.
Yep, so let's see if we can get a good view on that. It's a little difficult, but you can see basically the beam isn't being projected outwards, it's being reflected, versus these cars, which have a individual bulb that's projecting the beam out right there.
It's still super bright. I mean, I'm sure these are better headlights, but it's still totally usable.
So you're pleased with the night performance of them?
Absolutely, yeah. It has automatic high beams, so it will automatically dim and brighten for oncoming vehicles.
And do you have driver assistance as standard as well?
Yeah, so I have Highway Drive Assist 1. The higher level trims have Highway Driver Assist 2, but the main difference is that Highway Driver Assist 2 can do lane changes, mine cannot.
Interesting. So, but that seems reasonable. When you do a lane change, does it, how does it actually work? So does it re-engage every time you get back in the lane?
Correct, yeah. So the second you put on your blinker signal, it takes away auto steer, and then you make the lane change. The second you put it back in, it takes 2-3 seconds, but then it recenters itself in the lane and re-engages.
Very cool. And so I think the biggest difference really between the SE and the SEL that a lot of people will notice is the interior. And so it's really going down to the cloth seat instead of that leather-like material. So do you mind if we take a look in here?
Absolutely.
I really like how this is light on the door, by the way. That's really nice.
Yeah.
And forgive some of the water spots on the camera here. I'll clean it off in a second, but you can get a nice view of these cloth seats with a nice pattern in there as well. Really good looking seats. Still power on the driver's side, but manual on the passenger, correct?
Yep, everything else is manual. Rear seats do recline and do move forward and back, but it's all manual. The only seat that is motorized is the driver's seat.
There's another difference here, and it has to do with the rear lighting situation. You can see the reverse lights are this non-LED light back over here, and there's also these pixels, which are actually black, but you still get this nice look. It's really not bad. Versus the upgraded cars, here's an SEL. You can see the individual reversing light actually are the pixels here, and then this is just your secondary brake light for when the hatch is open. Honestly, let's get a little side by side here. Not the end of the world. You also get a nice strip of light on the bottom of these two cars here, the higher trims, but I don't think that's a buying decision. It's just a little thing that how often is your car going to be in reverse, and does it really matter? And then of course the lighting up front. So when it comes down to the standard car, you're not giving up on really any looks. No one from the outside would ever see the standard headlight versus the projector. You are giving up on this sort of lighted front grille situation here on the upper trim cars, but to be honest, it's nice, but I'm not sure it's a make or break to me. And overall, the outside of the cars look almost identical. You can see down here though, there's some extra fog light situation or something going on that this car doesn't have, probably due to the projector nature of it. So there's a couple little things, but I think the biggest difference is going to be the highway driver assist 1 and 2, and then the cloth seats in this particular car. Because I have to say, the screens are the same, the sound system's the same between them. Functionality, driving wise, there's no difference, right?
Yeah, no, it's the same range, same motor, same battery.
So I think the standard car over the SEL. Do you know the price difference between the two?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll look and get all the numbers, of course. But yeah, so far I think that this standard car is a really good value, and you're not giving up on much so far. Let's explore the mid trim. And now we're going to be exploring the SEL in a little bit more detail. This is Corbin. Congrats on your new car.
Thanks.
What do you think of it, by the way?
I freaking love it. It's my first EV. Never going back to internal combustion after this.
First EV, but you already have a YouTube channel, of course, covering a bunch of things, and going in depth with this, looking at OBD data, going over charging, really nerding out, proper stuff.
Definitely.
Appreciate that. So we've created a list of all the differences we could find between the SE and the SEL, and believe it or not, there's a lot. So let's go through. What are we starting with?
So we got power folding side mirrors here.
Power folding side mirrors. Could you show those in action? So here we go. Power folding side view mirrors. Nice. Those are manual fold, I presume. That's right. Power lift gate in the rear. I'll jump in the back seat. Oh, nice interior choice in this car too.
Yeah, the teal interior with the tan vegan leather.
Yeah, wonderful.
That's the next step up from the SEs. You get the nice leather interior. You get the LED light accents. Get the home link mirror.
Yeah, so it's also auto dimming, correct?
It is auto dimming.
Auto dimming, and you have ambient lighting, as you mentioned.
Yep.
Which is wonderful. Anything else inside the car that we can think of?
Got the heated steering wheel up here.
Oh, nice.
I got it on right now. Which is really nice. We got a wireless charging pad for your smartphone.
Yep.
Which is definitely.
And you can option
nifty.
2 different interior trims with SEL, right? So rather than just the base cloth in that car, you can spec white or black, or I guess gray or black seats in this one.
Yep, you get this. There actually is 3 colors. There's the teal upper with the tan lower. There's also an all tan, and there's also an all black.
Got it. But you made the right choice.
I did make the right choice.
This
Just like your
ambient
dad
lighting
did.
is wonderful. Really cool.
Yeah, it's really customizable. You got rear seat AC vents.
Oh, so for dogs especially, you know, we have big dogs. This is a mandatory thing. Or if you're going to Uber with your car, you don't get the vents in the back of the standard car. And so that's definitely a worthwhile upgrade.
Right, people really like that.
Yep.
In terms of driver assistance, we got Highway Driving Assist 2 in here, which adds auto lane changing on the highway. It also has junction crossing assistance, which will prevent you from getting T-boned in an intersection, supposedly.
Right, so it has extra sensors from HDA2 where it will look for cross traffic and potentially help to avoid a collision, or at least alert you in that scenario.
Correct.
Well, that's a pretty comprehensive overview there. I mean, that's for a couple $1,000 plus or minus. It seems like a lot of things that, you know, especially just with this nicer interior materials. The air vents to me are a big deal. Right. The ambient lighting. The one thing I wish you could spec on the mid-spec is the glass roof.
I do wish I could get that too. The only other thing I would add from the Limited would be the heads-up display as well. The heads-up display, yeah, with the augmented reality. And we'll show you that, of course, when we jump over to this car. I think Hyundai Product Planner should add like $1,000 or $1,500 standalone option just for the sunroof. The mid-level EV6 has an option package where you can add the sunroof, which...
And it has cooled seats, and it has USB-C ports.
Yep.
What is Hyundai doing living in the Stone Ages with USB-A, by the way? Well, thank you so much for showing us your car. I really appreciate it. And subscribe to your channel. The link will be in the description and the pinned comment.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
It looks like they closed the gate on us getting out of here. We don't know how to get out.
You're laughing?
Yeah, that's funny. And now you actually join me on the following day, a sunny day where the torrential downpour right as we were about to film the IONIQ 5 Limited trim just got too aggressive. So let's go through everything the Limited trim will get you now that you've seen the SE and the SEL side by side. And the one thing I don't think we mentioned that the SEL trim gives you, I just want to show you really quick, is the dimmable and HomeLink rear view mirror there. So that's on the SEL. Anyway, let's continue through. I have a list here of all of the things that you get with the Limited. There's a ton. You know, look, this car itself is $56,000, $57,000. We're getting into serious money for the all-wheel drive. But the first thing that you can easily tell if it's a Limited are these wheels. Now, the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive Limiteds actually have a different size wheel and tire. The all-wheel drives come with a 255, 45, 20-inch wheel. The rear-wheel drive Limiteds, I believe, come with a 235, might be 45 R20. So it's a little bit narrower. I don't know the exact tire size, but at least according to the documentation I found, the rear-wheel drive will have a slightly different wheel in Limited trim than an all-wheel drive Limited. Other changes you'll notice, of course, are all this bright work, this silver side plating here, the silver accents on the bumper, and I think it looks really nice. You'll also notice high gloss black trim throughout here and on the mirror surrounds, which I think looks pretty sweet. Guys, what do you think about this spec? To me, this is the spec, the ultimate spec. The hard thing might be to actually take care of this paint, this shooting star with the green interior. I think that's the interior to go for. It's the same one we saw in Corbin's SEL car. I absolutely love it. Here, the green's starting to look a little bit more green. Anyway, let's continue. You get rain sensing wipers in the Limited. Why the other cars don't have that, I have no idea. And then we get onto the inside of things. I'm starting with, right off the bat, this amazing glass roof. To me, that transforms the entire car. I really think they should have had this on the SEL trim. It would have made it so much more attractive to buy. And the problem is Hyundai isn't bringing many IONIQ 5 Limiteds into the country. The majority are SEs and mostly SELs, to be honest. And I think it's a real shame because this glass roof is wonderful. So they should have had that on the SEL, in my opinion, charged an extra $1,000 for it, whatever it would be. Moving around, we have a passenger seat that now is power with 8-way adjustments. And then the driver's seat has this lounge function, which is pretty sweet. So you can put up this little rest. It does take a little while, but I'll show you a cool trick to actually put it all the way. So you're sitting at a charger like we are now. You're going to put that there. You're going to rotate the seat sort of front up, back down, and then you're going to put the backrest there. I was actually just hanging out in the chair just like this. It was super duper comfortable, and I found a trick where if you just push and hold this button for a second, it will return the seat back to its normal position, which is wonderful. Speaking of seats back to its normal position, the Limited trim also gets you 2 memory positions here on the side, which is
super nice to have. It's amazing how many little things that the Limited gives you that kind of almost makes it worth the money, in my opinion. For me, I would only have a Limited, but again, I'm spoiled and love nice options and nice cars, so you know, you don't have to get it. I actually think the value is probably the mid-spec model. You also have, oh, back to the seats, there's even more things. Heated and ventilated, of course, so the other cars were just heated. You also have the relaxed seat, of course, like we mentioned. So really just the ventilation on the seat, and it gets cold. Some other things you get inside are the heads-up display with augmented reality, which is really cool. The AR stuff, the augmented reality, kind of gimmicky, but I have to say, where Hyundai put the speedometer in this car is right where my eyes at least look at the wheel. I talked to my dad about it. He didn't find it to be an issue, but the head-up display is transformative, and it really just makes that a non-issue at all. Let's take a look. One last thing on the front seats here. You have this center console that can actually slide forward and back like this. Why you would need that, I have no idea. Not sure. Now we get into the back seats where we have these shades. Oh, the green's really coming out there. That is cool. Love this interior. This is the best interior by far. And then back here, these headrests are adjustable and they can actually come out. In the other cars, I didn't realize this, they're sort of attached. V6 Mustang, ripping it. Not improving anyone's day. There's your rear power outlet, which is kind of nice. Vehicle to load functionality without the need for the adapter. By the way, the adapter does not come standard with the Limited in the US. You have to buy it as an accessory. That's where you plug in here and it you know, lets you pull some power out. Forgive my bags back here. They claim that there's a removable cargo cover. So I'm guessing that's this is in the Limited trim, but not the others. I didn't notice it in the other cars. It has two positions, so you could either put it in this front position if you want to recline the rear seats all the way, or you could remove it entirely. So I think this is something I would remove, but it's, again, totally up to you. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Oh, big one, of course, the sound system. Now, the standard sound system is not bad, but this gives you the big subwoofer in the back. And again, it's not that amazing of a sound system. I don't think the jump is huge. I've listened to both now, but being a music nerd like I am, this subwoofer transforms the listening experience for some electronic music and stuff like that. So I really love that. And then we get down to really just some technical differences here to the Limited that give you some more. The first is a surround view, a 360-degree camera view on the screen, which is pretty nice. You get this this situation where you put your turn signals on and it'll show you a video screen of who's in your blind spot, which I really like. You can have Smart Park, which if you're Hyundai, it's Smart Pack from the commercials, if you guys remember that. And I think that's it. That's everything. So there you have it, all the trims of the IONIQ 5. Wow, this wind and weather is wild out here today, I have to say. I'm just juicing up. I'm actually taking this over to go see my grandmother. I'd love to get her opinions and thoughts on this new, I would say, futuristic car, but still harkens back to the 80s feel and vibe. It's, you know, either way, I think the key for me is you should go, the way I would approach this is base or max. The mid-spec is nice and really does give you a lot of good things, but if you're already stepping up to the plate for an SEL, in my opinion, you're not gonna remember the $3 grand or $4 grand, whatever the upcharge is. I think it might actually be $5 grand. We'll do a whole price comparison, of course, in the middle of this video. Just spend the money. This is so much better. It looks so much better. It's got the glass roof. It's got the cooled seats. To me, this is worth it. But again, if you're leasing the car or you just can't find these because the Limiteds are rare, the SEL is a great option. And then the standard car for value, you just can't beat. You get some of the best EV technology, great warm weather range. Cold weather range, this car is not amazing in, but we'll see how that does over time. And you get really good driving dynamics, all for reasonably priced vehicle for a 74 kilowatt hour battery pack. Sorry, 77 kilowatt hour battery pack. Well, there you have it. My thoughts are extremely positive on this car. I'm charged up enough to make it to my next destination. I overcharged because this car charges so fast and it's 70 degrees outside, so I'm loving it. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.